All right, we're back with a special edition of this show. Really wasn't planning on talking about this till later on in the week, but duty calls. Coach Les Miles has been relieved of his duties as the head coach of LSU football. Offensive coordinator Cam Cameron is also on his way out as well, or he's out. He's been relieved of his duties too. Got Cody Butler here to talk with me. Cody, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. How you?
Man, it's just a surreal feeling, you know. I mean, I went to as soon as the news broke. I worked for Tiger TV. Many of you probably know that, but I went to campus. It was kind of like an all hands on deck type thing, man. And it's just kind of a surreal feeling. It's kind of weird, you know. I mean, on a Sunday when campus is really not that crowded, and then news such as big as this. I mean, I don't mean to offend anybody when I say this, but LSU firing a coach is almost as equivalent to a president resigning or something like that here in South Louisiana.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
Absolutely. You know, Cody, I think it's no secret that me and you gel well in here, and we talk really well, and we understand each other's opinions. But I just want to address everybody first and say Cody and I have always been on kind of opposite ends of the whole Les Miles spectrum. You have been, you know, you kind of have expressed your feelings that you think Les Miles isn't the man for the job anymore and hasn't been for some time. I've been kind of a Les Miles supporter, but yeah, I mean, I want to say you've been very respectful and stuff when you say this, and you have a good point, and me as well, you know. But obviously, times have changed. So just going off your gut, I mean, what do you have to say right now, man?
I think it's a good move. I think this move should have been made last year, though.
Well, hindsight being
the kumbaya send off that he had at Texas A&M when everybody thought he was gone and everybody was feeling sorry for him. And well, maybe we ought to give him one more season. You know.
Yeah.
Maybe we ought to give him one more shot to change his offense up to where we don't run a offense that's 1940 style.
Yeah.
To me, if they give a fresh start like this year to a new man, with all the talent that we have, we might be sitting at 4-0 right now instead of 2-2.
Well, that is very true. I have to say, man, I was one of the ones. I was in the student section, and last year it really was a great game. Not so much a great game, just kind of a great atmosphere that game was. And I think the public opinion that week really turned in favor of Les Miles and against the administration that was trying to let him out. I was one of the ones that said, let's give him another year. I think he's deserves it. I think that, you know, his track record will speak for itself, and but with the caption being that things have to change on the offensive side of the ball, and it really didn't change in the offseason. Hindsight being 2020, a lot of people were probably saying today they should have fired him last year. But I mean, that's hindsight, you know. I mean, I don't think anybody expected us to be 2-2 after the first month of the season, you know. So I mean, it's just kind of a weird feeling, man. Kind of a weird, surreal feeling.
I definitely didn't expect them to fire him this soon either.
No, and that's another thing. I think that if he was going to be fired, I think people probably thought it was going to be towards the end of the season. But I told you this earlier when we spoke on the phone to begin with, that I think that Joe Oliva and the rest of the administration didn't want to find themselves in the same situation they did last November by waiting to the end of the season and basically being in the same situation.
Yeah.
You know, if they would have waited till the end of the season, it could have very well turned into the same thing that happened last year, where public opinion swayed again, or higher political powers went up and overruled Oliva, and it kind of, I guess they just decided today that if we're going to do it, let's do it now and get it over with, so the elephant in the room isn't hanging over the season anymore.
Yeah. The thing that shocked me the most about all this is not, you know, that it happened and everything. It is reading other people's opinions about this that are not LSU fans.
How so?
Reading people's opinions from Alabama and Kentucky and Florida saying that this is the stupidest move they've ever seen, that they gladly take him. Well, not Alabama, but, you know,
right.
Kentucky coaches, fans saying they take him as a coach in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
You know, which, where they sit at, that's
well,
fine.
The same people were saying that last year whenever they were saying, yeah. I mean, ESPN guys were even coming on there saying, LSU, y'all are stupid. Y'all are stupid. This guy has won He's the second winningest coach in LSU history in such a. I mean, he's been here 12 years, but to say that is a pretty good big accomplishment. He's done it in 12 years. But I mean, I haven't seen that much because I've been so busy today. I haven't been able to follow social media like I wanted to. But I figured that. I mean, I figured there would be a lot of that.
It is a ton of it, and LSU fans are saying the exact opposite on that. Instead of last year, some it was kind of split down the middle.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of guys that have turned from Les Miles fans into, all right, we gotta get rid of the baggage for the ship sinks.
Right. Yeah. Well, do you think the ship's already sunk? I mean, we've lost 2 games. Do you think what are they playing for at this point?
Stranger things have happened. You never know.
I certainly agree with you, and technically they can still get to Atlanta. They've only lost 1 SEC game now. They would probably need some help. I mean, are we going to beat Alabama? Are we going to beat the Ole Misses? Are we going to beat Florida? I don't know. It's at this point it's
you
not.
You have the talent to do it.
You have the talent to do it.
Absolutely.
You do.
You have the talent.
You're
using that talent in a way that you can, that they're built for to beat those teams. And
right.
With Les Miles, you just can't do it. You didn't use them that way.
What now? You brought up an interesting note that like the Kentuckys and teams like that are like, we'd love to have him. Do you think Les Miles coaches again?
I think if the right job came open, he would.
I'm not in the guy's head, so I couldn't tell you, but I think that he's done personally. I think he's 63 years old. He's had the last couple of years haven't been so good here, but he's had a good run here at LSU. He's obviously won a national title. I don't really think he has anything else to prove. I kind of think he'll kind of ride off into the sunset. Maybe an interesting note was I was listening to 104.5 ESPN, which is our local radio station affiliate, and the local guys were on there, Charles Hannah-Griffin and Jimmy Ott, and they said that they don't think he'll coach again. They think that they brought up an interesting note that he might, when Lee Corso retires, might be maybe a guy to take over like his interesting coach perspective on College Game Day or a similar show of like that.
And he would be great at that.
Yeah, he's a great personality.
Yeah, he really is. But he's a competitor.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be shocked if I've heard Penn State and I've heard USC and a couple more schools that have already showed interest in him.
Yeah. Well,
I wouldn't be surprised.
A couple years ago, it was always he wants to go back to Michigan and coach at Michigan. Well, Michigan has Jim Harbaugh now, so that's not going to happen. I think who knows what Les will do. Me personally, if I was him, I would ride off into the sunset, and I don't think he has anything to prove. But I mean,
no,
I'm not him, so I don't know.
I agree. If I was him, I'd be done.
Well, since we brought up Les, I mean, Ed Orgeron, who was the LSU defensive line coach, has been named interim head coach for the remainder of the season. Who knows what will happen at the end? I mean, people are already speculating who will be the next coach at LSU and all this other stuff like that. Do you think Orgeron will get a chance to possibly throw his name in the hat?
I think if he does good enough, he will.
Well, sources have said that he's a Louisiana native, and he said his dream job is LSU head coach. When you go to stick in terms like interim in front of people and stuff like that, it gets a little wishy-washy with the whole coaching thing. Orgeron was actually the interim head coach at USC a couple years ago when they fired. God, man, I can't even remember who that coach was that they fired. Was it Steve Sarkisian maybe?
It was Lane Kiffin when they fired him.
Lane Kiffin when they fired him. Yeah, he took over for Lane Kiffin, and they beat a top 10 ranked Notre Dame team, and many people thought that he would get the chance to keep that job, and the powers that be in California and USC, they didn't give it to him. I don't even think they considered him.
Sarkisian was a USC offensive coordinator.
Right.
Took the head coaching job at Washington, and I always thought he was going to go back there.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to get to go back before when Lane Kiffin got the job, but that's why he didn't get that head coaching job there. And he was the head coach at Ole Miss.
Yeah, he was.
Good about that too.
Yeah, he was.
So I mean, he's got experience, and what better guy? I heard Chad Bloom a while ago make a good point. playing with house money when you got Ogeron.
Yeah.
You get a good guy, and you're playing with house money. So
Yeah.
it's a win-win right now.
Well, and Orgeron is a passionate guy, and he can recruit. That's the one thing that many people were saying with the firing of Les Miles in mid-season. How's that going to affect recruiting? And I do think it will affect recruiting to a certain extent. But Orgeron was recruiting coordinator at LSU, so we'll see.
I think this helps your recruiting.
You do?
I really do.
Well,
I think guys that will see, man, these people just run the ball all the time. You're gonna get more receivers. You probably get a better quarterback now. Come in if they start throwing the ball.
It could certainly go that way. It's hard for me to say that off the crisp because Miles has recruited so well, pretty much at every position. I know they haven't developed quarterbacks that well, but Brandon Harris was a 4-star recruit, almost 5-star when he came out.
In a spread offense.
Yeah, in a spread offense. So they didn't always.
They didn't. Spread quarterback come hand the ball off.
Yeah, they didn't recruit to their needs, but I felt like they recruited. Sources have said, and these aren't my sources, these are just sources, have said that Orgeron, when they met with him today and told him, Les is gone, we want to make you interim head coach, that he said yes, but with the exception that at the end of the year, you got to at least give me an interview for the head coaching position at the end, whether they will or not. Personally, Cody, I don't think LSU wins that. I think that it would have to be a miracle for Orgeron to be the head coach because I don't think LSU wins out. I hate to say it, but I think that if they did, he would definitely probably the number one guy. But I think that LSU wants to bring in an offensive-minded guy, and Orgeron might surround himself with good offensive minds. But at the heart, he's the same thing that Les Miles was, as a defensive guy. And I don't know what he would do with his offense. I guess we're about to see. Yeah, he has an advantage in that he has 8 games remaining on the schedule to prove what he can do. But Cody, man, I just don't see it at the end. I don't think. I think that Joe Oliva and the rest of the Tiger Athletic Foundation or boosters or whatever, I think they want to go out and get a big offensive name, man.
I think they want to get Herman from Houston. That's who they want.
Yeah, I agree too, and that is a big, obviously the hottest. He's the hottest coaching name out in college right now. Many people say Jimbo Fisher wouldn't consider the job after what they did to him last year, where he basically thought Les was getting fired and it was his job, and then they I guess kind of screwed him over at the end by setting him to the side and let Les come back. But I think that this is early enough. You basically got a whole rest of your season to talk. I wouldn't rule out Jimbo Fisher.
I wouldn't either, especially after he just got slaughtered at Louisville.
Yeah. Other hot names that have come up, I know you said Lane Kiffin earlier, right?
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings about that. I think Kiffin is a great offensive mind. I think he's one of the best offensive minds in football right now. But I don't think he's a good head coach. He's never fit well as a head coach anywhere he's been. He went to Tennessee and was there for a year and then immediately left when the USC job came open, and he got a lot of scrutiny about that. He was in Oakland as a head coach and drafted Jamarcus Russell, and that didn't pan out well over there.
That's what bothers me about him more than anything is loyalty.
Yes. But,
you know what I mean? Say what you want to about Les Miles, he was loyal.
Yeah. Throughout all the rumors about going to Michigan and then Arkansas and Texas and everything else, yeah. Well, man.
I think Lane Kiffin would be a good fit, and just like you said with Coach Ogeron, you take offensive-minded guys and put them around Coach O, I think he'll do fine if he lets them do their job. Just like Lane Kiffin. You give him the wheels on the offense, and you let your defense do their job.
Yeah, that's
how you got to do it. You can't interfere with other people when they're trying to do what they're hired to do.
Here's
that was one of Les Miles' problems.
That's definitely true. But at the same time, he brought in his buddy Cam Cameron.
Yeah.
So you kind of had to figure that was going to happen anyway. Here's what my dream scenario would be. The defense is playing really well right now. I hope Aranda isn't pushed out or anything at the end of the year. I hope he stays. But again, whoever the head coach will be, that'll be left up to the head coach to bring in his guys or not. I would love to see Orgeron do great this year, win out, and be named the head coach because I like he's a great personality. I love the guy just as much as I love Les Miles, and I would love to see Aranda stay on as DC. And I think Lane Kiffin would be a great addition as an offensive coordinator to LSU. Would he leave Alabama to come to LSU in basically the same position? I don't know. Me and you were talking earlier. I bet he's tired of getting his ass chewed out by Nick Saban on the sidelines, though.
Yeah, and getting talked to like he's an idiot in the press conference afterwards.
Yeah.
Or getting talked about, rather.
Go ahead and say what Saban said.
A reporter asked Nick Saban about the argument he had with Lane Kiffin during the game. And he told him, y'all must have this confused about what kind of relationship Lane Kiffin and I have. That wasn't an argument, that was an ass chewing. And then he said, next question.
Typical Saban. So
yeah.
Maybe he's tired of doing it.
Times I'd get tired of it too because he does a great job.
Yeah. You know, you got to be perfect at Alabama, though.
He throws the ball on second down and they drop it. Nick Saban's all in his ear. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I want to focus back on Miles here in just a second, but real quick, the first name you brought up was Tom Herman. Do you realistically think that there's a good chance Houston could make it to the college football playoff despite not being in a Power 5 conference? Do you think if he makes it to the college football playoff, he'd leave Houston for LSU?
I think they'd have to throw him as much money as LSU would be willing to throw him.
Well, they got the money. That's the thing.
Yeah, and I think with them trying to join the Big 12 next year, that I don't know. I mean, it's a stretch. Depends on if he's going to show that loyalty that, you know, this team gave me a shot. I'm winning with them.
Well,
these are my guys. I'm not leaving them.
And that's true. You know, Urban Meyer is doing great things at Ohio State, but he's not going to coach forever. There was a good point that somebody brought up earlier that if Herman comes, would he stay at LSU if the Ohio State job came open down the line, or would he jump back to the north to ship?
Yeah.
So,
as crazy as this is going to sound, I think if Lane Kiffin got the head coaching job, he'd stay. Because he knows when Nick Saban leaves, Dabo Swinney's coming to Alabama from Clemson.
Yeah, well, somebody brought up Dabo Swinney for the LSU job. I can't see him leaving Clemson. Clemson, I mean, they're
LSU.
No, they're a title contender. I can't see him doing that.
I think he'll go to Alabama.
Well, I think just about anybody would go to Alabama.
Yeah, but he's an alumni. You know what I mean? I think.
Yeah.
Coached there before. That would be Alabama's next head coach when Nick Saban leaves. I think Lane Kiffin knows that.
Really?
So if anybody throws him, a big name school throws him an opportunity, I think he'd take it. And what better? We need offense. What better mind do you need than
other names that have been brought up? Bobby Petrino. What do you think about that?
I don't like that, but I mean, I'd take him.
I don't.
He's a good coach. He just got too much, extracurricular stuff with him.
And that is kind of the point that I was trying to make about Lane Kiffin. Now, I don't want to get this mistaken. Lane Kiffin didn't do all the extracurricular activities that Bobby Petrino got caught doing. I'm just talking about from a leadership type standpoint. Bobby Petrino left the Falcons after like a month yeah. I mean, I like you said, I would take him, but my top three, if I had to, this is discluding Orgeron. I do like Coach O, but Orgeron isn't included in this. Now, obviously, if he does well, I think most people would probably like him to stay. But top three for me are probably Tom Herman, Jimbo Fisher, and I had the name in mind that John Gruden. That is a bit of a stretch at the end right there. The last one, John Gruden, but that was one of my names that we talked about.
Yeah, I agree with all those. All those would be great fits.
Yeah.
But you got to, at the end of that, you tack on Lane Kiffin and you tack on Art Briles, just sitting over there on the side.
Art Briles, I think he has too much baggage coming off that Baylor scandal, man. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a great offensive mind, but coming off that whole rape thing in Baylor, I don't think LSU needs that type of attention, nor do I think that they would go for something like that. Now, what role did he actually play, and how much did he know? How much
Exactly.
didn't he? I don't know. I'm not here to speculate, but that is obviously a big point of contention right there. I think you need to bring in a younger guy, or a younger guy like Herman, or bring back a guy like Jimbo who has ties to Louisiana, or if you can get a guy like John Gruden, which is a big stretch. I don't even know if he would take the phone call. He's great on Monday Night Football, and he probably wakes up at noon every day and does whatever he wants. I don't know
Yeah.
if he wants to get back into coaching, but there are a couple NFL guys I could throw out. But
Bill O'Brien.
Bill, one name that brought up particular was the Patriots offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels.
He'd be great.
I agree too.
Also, I didn't even think about him.
No, dude, I want to kind of get off the subject because there's a ton of names you can throw out there, man. It really is. But if you had to pick a top three, discluding Orgeron, because we don't know what's going to happen with that.
Be Herman, Lane Kiffin, and Jimbo Fisher.
Okay, I figure you.
I'd like to have Jimbo back.
I think a lot of people would like to have Jimbo back. The thing is how often do you see somebody move from basically one big school to another? I mean, I would think that Florida State and LSU are just about on equal footing as far as coaching.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just as far as like prestige of the job. I I would, as an LSU fan, I would love to say there wouldn't, if I'm a coach, there wouldn't be a better job in the world than being a LSU head coach as far as college coaching goes. But I think Alabama and Texas are probably tied at number one as to where would be a big time dream job. And then after that, you got your LSU's, your Florida States, your Florida, whatever, all your other big time schools. I think Alabama and Texas are at the top as far as prestige. And then right under that is a team like LSU and all that other stuff like that.
I think with the talent we have too, Lane Kiffin knows Saban, coached under him. He gives us a good chance to beat him every year, and I think Harmon, with his mind that he has for the game, gives us a good chance to beat him. And Jimbo Fisher's the same way. Jimbo Fisher could really kind of be our guy until he gets ready to retire.
Jimbo has the whole ties to Baton Rouge. That was the big thing with him, and but wouldn't it be interesting if Ed Orgeron lost 2 more games, but one of those games he won was Alabama? LSU hasn't beat Alabama in 5-6 years.
Yeah.
What if he just say he lost to Ole Miss and lost? Just say we lose to Florida and lose to a team like Arkansas or Ole Miss, but beat Alabama. Do you think the fans would get behind him?
I think the fans want a name more than anything else.
Okay.
I think hardcore fans, people that understand that he can do a good job, he's surrounded by the right people to do it, but your everyday guy that just likes LSU football and really doesn't understand the game that much wants a big name.
Big name like Jimbo or John Gruden or whoever,
Exactly. But to me, I'd rather see somebody that's already a head coach.
Okay.
No disrespect to Coach O, but I'd rather see somebody that's already a head coach, and I'd love to see him stay. But
do you think he would feel slighted and leave, maybe?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they're kind of not messing up by doing this, but if you're not going to make him and you know you're not going to make him, I wouldn't even tell him you're going to give him a shot, because then if you don't, you're losing a hell of a recruiter and a hell of a defensive line coach.
Yeah. And he's done wonders with that defensive line, man. Arden Key is blowing it up right now.
Yeah, he is.
Lewis Neal, Lewis Neal isn't your typical, prototypical NFL type pass rusher, but he'll get looks in the draft just because of what he's done with Coach O and on LSU's and stuff like that. I want to get back to Les Miles real quick. I mean, what else do you have to say about the guy? Like, I know you did. I know you were one of the ones that didn't agree with everything he did with coaching, but as a person, what do you have to say about him?
I think he's a great man. I think he was a great fit for LSU when he first come there, and he did good things with them.
Yeah.
But to me, what turned me off was the Jordan Jefferson deal.
With the Jarrett Lee thing?
Exactly. That really turned me against him. And ever since then, I really hadn't cared for him much.
Yeah.
As far as a man, you can't find a better one. More likable guy, passionate about the team, loyal as they come.
Yeah.
But it's just time to move on. You knew you come into this year, you know you have to change. You have to get out of that pound the ball, pound the ball, pound the ball. You got to spread it around. You got guys that can make plays for you if you get them the ball. You got some of the most talented wide receivers in the country.
I agree 100% with you, and I said this all along, and I think me and you talked about this earlier in an earlier podcast. If Les leaves or if he is forced out, it will probably be to his own undoing that he didn't change, and he didn't change from. I think the Wisconsin game kind of did him in, even though he wasn't fired right after that. I think that everybody realized then, even the Les Miles supporters like me realized that the ship was kind of a sinking ship.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have won out and went to the went to Atlanta or went to the college football playoff, and everybody would have been fine. He'd have still been the coach next year. But I think that one game right there made everyone realize that it was a sinking ship and that he probably wasn't going to change.
Well, you come out and do the same thing you've been doing after they told you, well, let you keep your job. You have to change. We got to spread the ball around. We got to do things. We got to make LSU football exciting again. And you come out and do the same exact thing last year that you were doing that almost got you fired.
Right.
Then you lose the first game of the year with a team that was supposed to not lose a game this year. They were the best team in the nation.
Cody, they were favored in Las Vegas odds. They were favored in every game they were played, even against Alabama.
Yep.
So basically, Las Vegas had them favored to go undefeated.
Yeah.
I mean,
Leonard Fournette is probably the best running back that's ever been to LSU.
No doubt.
Top 3 has ever played college football. And he won't go down as such anymore for people that hadn't really watched him because he's never won a national championship.
Yeah. Well, and
or SEC championship.
Yeah. I mean, man, I talked to the players today, or we talked to the players today at Tiger TV. They really were saddened by this. They didn't want to see Miles leave this early. That Jamal Adams sounded like he was fighting back tears.
Yeah.
Miles was a player's coach, and if this is one thing I have to say about the LSU players, I can remember last year, Ezekiel Elliott was Ohio State's running back. He's a running back for Dallas Cowboys now. After Ohio State lost, who did they lose to last year? It was a game they shouldn't. It was like one of the last games of the season.
Michigan State, I believe.
Yeah, they lost to Michigan State, I believe. Ezekiel Elliott, I can remember profoundly, threw Urban Meyer under the bus and the post press conference saying we should have done this more, we should have done that. That comes down to coaching and all that other stuff. Those LSU guys, man, even in that rough ass November we had, they never did that, and I think that speaks to the type of relationship they had with Miles.
Yeah.
And how much even though it was tough times, and even though they knew they were probably thinking other things internally, but they held it together, and they didn't do that, man. I think that's great.
And that goes back to speaking what kind of man he is.
Yeah. Well, what do you think his lasting legacy will be at LSU?
That's a tough one. I mean, it's probably going to vary to different people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of people got sour on him in the last few years.
Yes, I think that. I think ultimately he won a national championship here. He brought the city of Baton Rouge and the state of Louisiana back a national championship. We probably should have won that one in 2011. The last few years haven't been so great to us, but I think he'll be remembered as one of the better coaches in LSU history. I mean, him and Saban, he'll always play second fiddle to Saban, but that was the case before that anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say this, but Nick Saban, when it's all said and done, will probably surpass Bear Bryant as Alabama's greatest coach and probably the greatest college football coach of all time.
I think so too.
I never really thought that was quite fair. It might not matter if it was fair or not because it was just fact. People always compared Miles to Nick Saban. Well, he'll never be as good as Nick Saban. Well, shit, no one is. No one will ever be as good as Nick Saban. So I never really thought that was fair. But it's kind of like the Paul Mainieri and Skip Bertman thing at LSU baseball. Paul Mainieri, he's a great coach, probably one of the best coaches in college baseball right now, but he'll always play second fiddle to Skip Bertman in terms of LSU lore and all that other stuff like that.
Absolutely. There would never be a Paul Mainieri field.
No, but and he's a great guy too. No disrespect.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I kind of got wrong too, kind of rubbed me the wrong way. A lot of people said that. Well, Miles only won the national championship in 2007 because he had Saban's players that Saban recruited. And, I mean, yeah, I guess it kind of has a point, but he still won. He could have lost with all those players, too.
Yeah.
So
I say that because just as much, if not more, talent has come through there since he's been there and he's recruited, and they hadn't won another one.
Yeah, they just hadn't been able – it goes back. They haven't been able to develop a quarterback, and they haven't – I think Jarrett Lee. What happened was Ron Perlew was supposed to take over for Matt Flynn and lead the team, and he made a lot of stupid decisions. And that year, between Jordan Jefferson and Jarrett Lee, they threw more pick sixes with two freshman quarterbacks than in the history of whatever. And I think that one year, that 2008 season, soured him on passing then.
Could be. And, if Ryan Perley goes to Texas, you know who we got.
Yeah.
Colt McCoy.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
that was a good point.
Changed around the whole situation of things. But it didn't happen, didn't play out that way. Looking back on it now, I wish he would have.
Yeah, but, I do too. But
if you look at the players he's put in the NFL, one of your top corners, Patrick Peterson.
Tyrann Mathieu.
Safety, Tyrann Mathieu. One of your top receivers, Odell Beckham.
Jarvis Landry, too.
He's pretty much got a guy at every position that is, Kyle Williams still going strong for Buffalo.
Daniil Hunter is playing great in Minnesota.
Yeah. You pretty much got a guy from LSU on every team doing great work except for quarterback. They
have the most players in the NFL, yes, except for quarterback. The last good quarterback they had, or good that it transpired to onto the field, was Zach Mettenberger, and they threw the ball around a lot that year. They really did.
You had a pro-style quarterback, a big guy that could stand back there and throw the ball.
Real quick, what did you think about last night against Auburn? Danny Etling, Fournette, the whole defense, the whole team. What'd you think? I mean, it was obviously disappointing.
Defense played awesome. I think holding a team to field goals every time, you bend, don't break.
Yeah. That goal line stop they made early in the first half was big, I thought. It obviously didn't matter at the end.
Coming through those two big tackles, man, they played great.
Yeah.
But that's all you can do when you're on the field the whole time. If your offense is going 3 and out, you're running your defense to death. They pretty much used the Wisconsin formula on us last night.
Yeah,
but those guys on offense came with heart that last drive, and it sucks that they put it all together and made a hell of a play, which probably would have went down one of the greatest plays ever in LSU football.
Cody,
if they got the snap off.
Do you know how different this day would be if there would have been one more second on that clock, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, whether it would happen at the end of the season or not, Les Miles wouldn't have been fired if LSU won that game last night, no matter how they won.
I agree. We wouldn't be talking right now.
We wouldn't be. If there was 2 seconds on the clock instead of 1, no, he'd still be the coach today.
Yeah.
It didn't play out that way.
Brilliance that went down there and got the touchdown.
Yeah. You'd still have people saying fire Les Miles because they made it so close and they almost gave people a heart attack. But at the end of the day, I have never been one to say after a win, let's fire a damn coach.
I still have the same opinion.
Well, you still do. You still do, and we'll I don't know. One last question here. What are your expectations for the rest of the season? What are your final thoughts? What does this team have to do moving forward?
I would like to see them beat Missouri next week in a real good way for me to say, okay, I feel good about going in there to play Florida. I feel good about going to play Ole Miss. Right now, if they don't beat Missouri handily, I think you beat Southern Miss and you beat South Alabama. And everybody else, I mean, you may make it tight, but I don't think we've got enough to beat anybody else.
The other than Southern Miss and Alabama, and I don't know if it'll be a blowout this weekend. I don't think LSU will lose to Missouri. I really don't at home. Obviously, I think they'll beat Southern Miss. I think they'll beat South Alabama. But the rest of the games really are a toss-up. Every single one of them. Yeah, Alabama will definitely be favored when they come in here and play LSU. But LSU will be at home, and that is a game they can win if they can put it all together. Same thing with Ole Miss.
Yeah, exactly. You have the talent to beat everybody if you put it together.
They're more talented than Arkansas, but that's just a game that hasn't went their way the past couple of years.
You got a murderer's row right there. You got Ole Miss, then you got Alabama, and then you got Arkansas.
And Texas A&M is looking damn good right now.
Yeah,
I will say this about A&M. A&M has never beat LSU since they've been into the SEC, and if they do, this will be the year they do it. But I've never been one to hop on the A&M bandwagon just because they've never done it yet. But we'll see. It in a way, Coach O is kind of being put in a position that's kind of impossible, I think, right now. Realistically, is LSU going to run the table? It's not very likely.
Yeah, exactly. And you got to look how they're going to react playing Saturday after you coach for 11 seasons was fired.
Well, there's two ways that's going to happen. They're either going to come out and play. They've said as much in the interviews that they're going to come out and try to play for him. And, if they come out and bulldoze Missouri, I think that will be a likely option. Or they'll come out and it'll be sloppy.
I agree. It'll be one or two ways.
It'll be one or two ways. We will see. Cody, you got anything else to add on this whole Les Miles firing deal, man? Anything else to add on LSU football? Anything else, man?
I just hope they keep the defense the way it is. I think the defense is playing really good. I think Danny Evans is doing a great job at quarterback. And so if they keep it going against Missouri and try to go in there and get a win.
Yeah, realistically, if they run the table, they'll get to. Am I right by saying this? If they don't lose another game and they beat everybody else, they'll still go to Atlanta, right? In the SEC championship, or would another team have to lose again? Because they only have one SEC loss.
I think Alabama would have to lose again.
So they would have to beat Alabama, then they'd have to. But see, your conference going to the conference championship, your overall record doesn't matter. It's your conference record.
Yeah, I agree. I know what you're saying, but I'm thinking somebody has to lose two games. I guess it goes head to head if you each got one loss.
Yeah, and I don't think Auburn is going to go undefeated the rest of the season.
No, I don't think so either.
So, hey, to be honest with you, if Malzahn would have lost last night, he probably would have got fired today.
Yeah, you're right.
So
I think Alabama got a hell of a game to play against A&M.
Is that next weekend?
Alabama's number in the last couple of weeks.
Is that
a couple of years?
Is that next weekend?
I think so.
That'll be a big game. I don't know where it's being played at, but that should be your college game day, I would think.
Oh yeah.
Cody, I know I've been saying one last thought for the past 10 minutes, but Joe Alleva, yeah, bro, that's how we do it. Joe Alleva is he will address the media tomorrow at, well, it was called Lunch with Les. I don't know what they're gonna call it now. LSU's weekly media lunch press conference, whatever. But he'll address the media tomorrow, and I think we'll have some more updates on really just what it kind of went down detail wise Coach O will address the media. Do you think they're going to give Les Miles a chance to get up there and say his final public goodbyes, or do you think he even wants to? Or
I think he definitely deserves it if he wants to.
I think he does
Just
too.
give him that option.
I think he does too. He may not want to though. He may just want to ride off into the sunset. I'm sure he'll do some interviews at some point or the other, but I don't know when it will be. I don't look for him to speak tomorrow, but
As passionate as he used to be after those big wins, you know, I don't know if he can get up there and do that. He might not be able to hold it together.
well, and if he doesn't, that would be that. I mean, it I don't want to see the guy get up there and cry, man. I mean, even when a guy retires, like a guy like Peyton Manning gets up there and does a press conference and he's crying, that's a little bit different. But when a guy gets up there and after he's fired, and it's something. And look, dude, I want to say Les Miles definitely should have changed his offense in the offseason. You don't change in the middle of the season. These past two games against Jacksonville State and even last night against Auburn, and I'm sorry, Mississippi State. I think you have seen him. You've seen some trying to change or whatever. I really think he's just a guy that he didn't have the answer anymore, man. Maybe he's just out of touch. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, man, it's been good talking to you. Hopefully I'll be able to catch you down the road. It's just a surreal feeling, man. We'll stay updated though throughout all this.
That'll work.
All right, Cody. See you later, man.